Today we have another recipe from the Solid Rock Master Chef's kitchen, otherwise known as Dermot Seberry's house. But today it's not Dermot that's going to present this recipe. Today Jamie Seberry is going to show us how to make raspberry vanilla cake.
Hi everyone, it's Jamie Seberry here in Ireland, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a vanilla and raspberry cake. Now I know it can be boring for all those teens that are stuck in quarantine with nothing to do. I know it's boring for me in isolation sometimes, but I think baking is the best pastime. So first you want to go ahead and preheat your oven to 180 degrees Celsius, and then we are going to go ahead and show you everything that you need for this cake. Now you're going to get your butter paper and grease the inside of the tin, helping the parchment paper that you're going to use to line the tin to stick. You're also going to want to use a machine with a whisk attachment so you can pour all your mixture into the bowl and whisk it and pour it into the cake tin. So next you're going to get your ingredients. Now usually I prefer the Betty Crocker mix, but today we're using Dr. Oetker's mix for a vanilla cake. This is the packaging. Now you're going to want to have 3 free-ranged eggs, 160 milliliters of vegetable oil, and 80 milliliters of milk. Now for your icing sugar, I'm going to be making buttercream. Instead of butter, I'll be using Philadelphia cheese because in my opinion it just gives it more of like a whipped, not as clumpy kind of buttery taste. And you also want to get your icing sugar. And I'm going to use a lemon today because I want to add some flavour into the mixture for the icing, and I'll also add some zest onto the top of the cake when it is iced. So once you have your tin well lined with parchment, you're going to now add all of your ingredients into the bowl. So you're first going to add your vanilla cake mix into the bowl first, and you're going to add all of it in. Make sure there's none of it left in the bag. Now you're going to add your 3 eggs into the middle. You're going to add your 160 milliliters of vegetable oil. And you're going to add your 80 milliliters of milk. Now, once that is all put into the bowl, you're going to close it. I am also using a whisk now, and you're going to start it at a slow rhythm and you're going to speed it up after a while. So when your mixture is all stirred up and ready, you're going to want to open the lid, take off of your whisk. You're going to tap the excess off of the whisk. You're going to bring it off the bowl. Now you're going to want to take off your bowl from the machine, move it over to the side so you can see the tin. Now you're going to want to pour all of the mixture into the center of the tin. Don't try and even it out when you're pouring it, let it all fall into the center and then move the tin. So once your cake mix is poured into your tin, it should look like this. You're going to want to tap it a few times to make the cake mix spread out across the tin evenly. Then you're going to put it into your preheated oven. For around 20 minutes. Now, how do you know when it's ready? After around 20 minutes, you're going to put your hand against the surface of the mixture. If it bounces back at you like a sponge, then it is ready. If it does not do so, then you might want to put it in for an extra 5 minutes or so. So now we'll be making our frosting while our cake is baking in the oven. So what you're going to need for the frosting, and we're also going to use this for the middle of the 2 layers, which we'll be also adding raspberries, but we'll get to that in a moment. So we're going to start with 100 grams of butter, 360 grams of Philadelphia cheese, 250 grams of icing sugar, a half lemon for the juice to squeeze into the mixture, and we are also going to add some lemon zest. This will obviously be a kind of lemon flavoured frosting mixed with raspberries into the middle. So now that your mixture is properly creamed with the cake beater, you're going to want to detach it. Now, the reason that you don't want to start off with a whisk is because if you start off with a whisk, all the butter and the Philadelphia cheese will get stuck in between it and it will not mix properly. It needs to be properly creamed before adding the whisk. I am also going to add some pink colouring dye for the mix because we will also be adding raspberries into the middle of the 2 layers. Now that your food colouring has properly been mixed in with your frosting, I'm going to take off the whisk here. Then you're going to put all of your frosting into the fridge to cool. When the cake has been properly taken out of the oven and cooled down, you're going to remove it from the fridge and apply it to your cake. So we're going to put it in the fridge now and wait for the cake to be ready. So now once your cake is out of the oven, you're going to leave it onto a cooling rack to cool down for around maybe 2.5 hours. You're going to want it to be completely cold. You cannot have at least the slightest bit of warmth because when you try and put your frosting on it, it will melt and destroy your frosting. And also, once it's out, you're going to want to check it with your 2 fingers. You're going to lightly push against it here over the top. You see ours is spongy and it kind of bounces back like fluffiness. If your cake does not do this, you'll put it in for maybe 5 minutes more. Now, when you've checked it and it is spongy, you're going to want to take it out of its wrapper in the tin and place it onto the baking tray. You're going to do this to help it cool quicker, and you're going to leave it aside for about 2.5 hours. Hi again. So, we've let everything cool, our cake's cooled down, and so has our frosting. Now, the reason I've chosen pink is because for my filling, we are going to be using some raspberries. Now, my raspberries are frozen because they hold their shape better when in the cake. You don't have to freeze them. You can also use a jam or any other spread that you like. You might find that when your cake is being cut open, which we are going to do now, that it could be a bit dry inside. So you can use fruit syrup from canned fruit and just kind of brush it over with a pastry bus. It'll make it more moist. So we're going to cut our cake into 2 layers to put the filling and the frosting inside. So now, as you can see, the inside of our cake is lovely, moist and fluffy, just the way we want our cake to be. Now we're going to put the frosting into the centre of the cake to give it texture. I'm using a palette knife to spread it. You don't have to use a palette knife. I just find it much easier to spread it and give it a bit of a creamy spread. Okay, now that our frosting has spread, we're going to add our raspberries to the spread. I'm going to line the raspberries around it just so that it looks presentable when the cake second layer is on top. You don't want to just cram them all into the centre, you want it to look presentable. That is the main reason why the raspberries are here. So there we have it. All of the raspberries have now covered the centre. Now we're going to get our second layer and put it directly on top. As you can see there, the raspberries have helped it to kind of look through the centre of the cake and give it that nice kind of look. Now we're going to put the remainder of our icing over the top of the cake. You're just going to want to kind of pile it on and let it drizzle. You don't want to spread it because of the almost kind of sphere shape of the top. And you don't want to just gently apply it, you want to get the biggest amount that you could possibly get onto your spoon. You don't want to just be taking small spoonfuls, otherwise it might not turn out as nice and creamy. So, now that our cake is nicely spread out over the top, you don't have to do this on the centre, you can leave it the way it is, you can put your own topping on, maybe sprinkles. I'm going to be adding some lemon zest and some more raspberries to the top just to give it a nice look and different colours. And there you have it, all the zest is covering the top of the cake. Now I'm going to use my raspberries, I'm just going to do a straight line across the sides, so if you cut it in portions everyone gets a raspberry on top. Since the frosting is very creamy and thick, the raspberries should stay on the top without falling. And there you go. There's a straight line of raspberries across for everyone. So as you can see in the centre of our cake here, the raspberries have defrosted with the icing as we wanted them to. Now, either way, even if you don't put the toppings on, the filling, you don't even have to add frosting, it'll just go nice with a cup of tea or coffee while you're stuck in quarantine. Thanks for tuning in, have a great day, and I hope you enjoy your cake.